Hey, good morning. Jesus is Lord. Ha! The word works. I've been talking to you about calling things that be not as though they were. I'm healed today. I'm rich today. I'm the righteousness of God. Somebody said, well, you don't act righteous. Well, it's not based on how I act. It's based on what Jesus did, and he made me righteous. Now, I'm going to help you here today. I'm cooking breakfast for the girls, but I want to help you. I also have the wisdom of God. I remember a little story. It took place 40 years ago, I guess. Our two oldest sons, 7, 8 years old, they both had a little mini bike. Well, it was a YZ80, Yamaha YZ80, and one of them wouldn't work. It just wouldn't run. And I worked on it and I worked on it because, I'm pretty good mechanically, and I couldn't get this thing to run. I would take the carburetor off of one and put it on the other, run fine. Put it back on the other, wouldn't run. I would take the ignition system, in those days it was points and condenser and all that kind of stuff, put it on the other, it'd run fine. But I'd get it on this other one, it wouldn't run. I worked on the thing most of the day. I finally went upstairs and I said to Pat, kind of frustrated, man, I can't fix that thing. Dear God, I don't know what's wrong with it. And my wife looked at me and she says, why don't you do what you preach? I said, well, what's that? She said, why don't you call things that be not as though they were? I said, listen, woman, you don't understand who you're talking to here. I know what to do on these things, and I'm having a little difficulty, and I don't want you correcting me. She says, okay. So I worked on it another 3 or 4 hours, went upstairs. I said, I still can't fix that thing. I can't figure it out. She said, why don't you do what you preach? Well, by this time, I'm not happy. She said, why don't you say you have the wisdom of God? All right, I have the wisdom of God. Next morning, I got up, went down there and tried to start it. Wouldn't start. But I said, I have the wisdom of God. Tried it again, and I saw a little puff of smoke come out where it wasn't supposed to. Up under this, where all the points and condensers and everything, I saw a little puff of smoke, wasn't supposed to be there. And I heard this, check that seal. I took that thing off, looked at that seal, it had popped out. Well, by it being popped out, it couldn't create the vacuum to pull the fuel up in there. I simply pushed that thing back in there, put that other piece back on it, bang, it started right up because I called things that be not as though they were. Now, this stuff works. I say all the time to Pat, you love me. You love me more today than you ever did. She says to me all the time, I love you and you love me. We're going to keep it that way. I say that I'm perpetually young. I say that my body doesn't get old and wear out. I'm telling you, God calleth things that be not as though they were. Jesus rebuked the wind, and then he called for something that was not. He called for peace, and God said, let there be light when there wasn't any light. This is the way a born-again believer works. Hey, it works whether you believe it or not, just like that little testimony to work for you. Hey, have a great day. I got to finish cooking here. I want you to know today the word works. Do it the word way, and everything's going to be all right. So remember, till I see you tomorrow, Jesus is Lord. Thank God the word works.